All right. Let me do a follow-up question. This one is directed at Ben and Monique. According to Pew Research, the net worth of white families in 2013 was $141,000. For black families, it was $11,000. Given this disparity, how can you argue that racism is not a driving factor in income inequality?
Because it has nothing to do with race and everything to do with culture. And when you have a culture that doesn't, you know what? Explain to me why black kids aren't graduating high school. Explain that one to me. Explain to me why black kids are shooting each other in rates significantly higher than whites are shooting each other. Explain to me why 13% of the population is responsible for 50% of the murder. Explain to me why the number of black kids in prison, not for innocent reasons, not for walking down the street and getting pulled into a prison, is so high. Explain, if it has nothing to do with culture, explain to me why the single motherhood rate in the black community jumped from 20% to 70% in the same course of time that the civil rights movement has made such tremendous strides. Is America more racist now than it was in 1960? And if it is, please explain to me how that happened.
Smoke weed every day.
Anybody can jump in. It's an open mic there. Moments ago, both of you were about ready to jump out of your seats, and this is unusual for me because usually that means words will follow. But there was a pause. I want to give you this opportunity to.
Well, Lent is
fire
over,
back.
so may cross myself.
Yeah.
When we're talking about the wealth gap, I have so many responses. We'll just take the easy ones. I'll go for the low-hanging fruit.
You're a fucking idiot.
And we'll talk about some of the systemic barriers. What keeps people of color by race poor? Or we're talking about things like the Homestead Act. Those create the wealth gaps that we see. It's not a matter of just wanting to work hard. Well, then we'll take the home ownership. That was devastating. It was because of the barriers, the unfair lending practices by the banks.
Do you really think there was collusion between all of the banks not to lend money to black people who are qualified to get the loans? Are banks in the business of racism?
Absolutely. Here's the reason why, and this is the reason why there were settlement checks. This is why the Washington State Attorney General's office is still handling those. Yes.
Please name the individual bankers who are racist so we can all call them out.
Bank of America, they actually called people who looked like me, Latino women and men who walked inside, mud people.
The last time I saw a FICO credit score, I didn't see American, Hispanic, or Chinese next to it. I didn't. TransUnion, Expedia, or any of the 3 credit bureaus. There's a number that shows your credit worthiness. And my last name's Trudanowski. I'm sorry, my hair's straight and I'm not ethnic enough, but the last time I checked, my home loan was not measured against the color of my skin or how tan I am or not.
You know, white people don't know when they're jacked. And it's really something that you guys gotta learn. When you're getting stiffed and jacked by the banks. And it's not a matter of like whether the banks are racist or not. It's whether they're gonna whether they're gonna fleece you or not. Wonder how are they gonna fleece you? And they will. No, and everybody's gotta realize when they will use anything to fleece you. And to me, it's not an issue of like of whether you could say like that fleece you. What happened is the banks were running out of people to make money off in the ordinary system, and so they had to like switch to poor people who had nothing and give them home loans.
Right.
No. My question is I'm not going to say that you know.
No, yeah, this is a good explanation, but I'm just wondering what the point is.
Is it that you know?
We've built this country on a system for hundreds of years that allows whites to do well. We have generations that have supported our success, and we have taken away support from communities of color. So that is why communities of color are not doing well in America. It's not because white people are doing so well for themselves. We're just such a great people. I mean, I'm not...
So the reason whites are doing well is because we cheated.
Yeah.
But if you look at the data of Asians, for example, you will find way more Asian privilege than there is white privilege. Asians make way more money than whites. They're way more educated than whites. They are less likely to experience any kind of crime than whites are. They're less likely to die at work than whites are. I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah, they suffer from a different sort of racial stereotyping.
Well, they don't suffer. They're kicking our ass. Everything you can say about white privilege is more true with Asian privilege. No one grabs their
It still
purse when
pigeonholes them.
Pardon?
It still pigeonholes them.
Pigeonholes them as successful? I don't think anyone minds being pigeonholed like that. Hey, Mr. Successful, why don't you go drive a nice car?
It's not near as harmful as how black folks are stereotyped, certainly.
Okay, so why don't you start at the top then, and let's try to dismantle Asian privilege.
Asian privilege, I wouldn't call it Asian privilege.
Well, it fits all the criteria of white male privilege.
What do you mean by that?
They get better jobs. They get better educations. No one sees them as threatening. Everything that you can say that whites cheated to get is more prevalent in an Asian society. Okay, let's drop that. I guess it's not going anywhere. One thing that confuses me about feminists, and I always think of Jezebel when I think about feminists, is their focus on jocks, their focus on rich blonde men, their focus on CEOs, and the deafening silence, as my colleague puts it, when it comes to Islam. I mean, if I was a feminist, I wouldn't be putting up white supremacy stickers. I'd be putting up stickers saying, "Get Sharia out of America," or "We don't want your burqas here," or "Honor killings are dishonorable." That's a good one.
Burqas and hijabs, people can wear that. That's a religious expression thing. That's not.
Is it, though?
Yeah.
Okay, if the burqa is just religious expression and it's perfectly fine, why is it black polyester in the Middle East? Why are you in a bin bag, as Billy Connolly puts it? Why isn't it flowing white gauze?
Black History Month you find
Ridiculous.
why?
You're going to relegate my history to a month?
Oh, come on.
What do you do with yours? Which month is White History Month? Well, come on, tell me.
Well, I'm Jewish.
Okay, which month is Jewish History Month?
There isn't one.
Oh, why not?
Yeah.
Do you want one?
No.
No, I don't either. I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history.
How are we going to get rid of racism?
Stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man. I know you as Mike Wallace. You know me as Morgan Freeman.
Smoke weed.